To order at 12:34. Start out with the territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Aldervale First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman is located on the Mississauga Anishinaabeg territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabeg. The Township of Alnwick-Haldeman respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda as circulated. I'll read the motion. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council session of Thursday, September 16th, 2021 be approved as circulated. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Booth, second by Councillor Phillip. All in favor? Carried. Item 5, approval of the council minutes September 2nd. Be it resolved that the regular council session minutes of September 2nd, 2021 be approved. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gibson, second by Councillor Hogg. All in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the previous minutes, council? Seeing none. Item 7. This is report number FD 2021-8 from Dave Dawson, Fire Chief, dated September 16th, 2021. Read the fire department updates. Do we want the motion first to get on the floor, or do we do? Be it resolved that report number FD 2021-8 from Dave Dawson, Fire Chief, dated September 16th, 2021. Read the fire department updates be received and filed. And further, that council pass a bylaw to authorize the mayor and acting clerk to sign an agreement between the County of Northumberland, City of Peterborough, and the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman for fire communication services later in the meeting under bylaws. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Phillip, and second by Councillor Booth. Okay, Chief Dawson, you want to address anything?
I don't have anything to address for this report, Your Worship. The one thing that needs to be, I guess, paid attention to would be the financial impact from this bylaw that we're being asked to do from Northumberland County. My understanding, there are enough funds in the county level to deal with this for the next short time being, but this is something that will have an impact on fire budget in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any questions or comments, council, that you may have for Chief Dawson? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. This is getting almost too easy. Item 8, Parks and Recreation Department, report number PC-2021-07 from Jennifer Steen, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated September 16th. COVID-19 safety procedure updates for recreational facilities. Be it resolved that report number PC-2021-07 from Jennifer Steen, Parks and Recreation Culture Coordinator, dated September 16th, 2021. COVID-19 safety procedure updates for recreation facilities be received and filed. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson. Second, Councillor Hogg. Okay. Jennifer, I think Jennifer's on, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. This report is,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry,
No,
there's
I
a
was
bit of
just
a
going to
delay.
ask you to do that.
Okay. Thank you. So this report is just to provide you an update. As I'm sure you're aware, as of September 22nd, Ontarians will need to be fully vaccinated, which means 2 doses plus 14 days, and provide their proof of vaccination along with photo ID to access certain public settings and facilities. This includes meeting and event spaces such as banquet halls and conference centers, facilities used for sports and fitness activities and personal fitness training such as gyms, fitness and recreational facilities, with the exception of youth recreational sport and sporting events. So this has an impact on all of our facilities, our community centers, as well as the arena. The Ontario government just released the regulations for this yesterday, Monday, earlier this week. And I have met with colleagues from Northumberland County to discuss with them how they're implementing it and what kind of impacts it has on their facilities, as well as the types of programs that they're offering. So I wanted to discuss a few options and things to consider on how we will move forward. One being how to safely collect this private health information. And since the regulations have come out this week, there's a bit more of an update here. The government has stated that proof of vaccination along with photo ID has to happen at point of entry to the facilities. And so we cannot collect this data ahead of time. So it has to happen each time somebody enters a facility. The second one is our staffed facilities versus unstaffed facilities. So currently our only staffed facility is the arena, and it'll be much easier to implement this at our staffed facility compared to our unstaffed facilities. So that's something to consider. Number 3 is to increase the number of staff or increase current staff hours in order to manage these new requirements. And then there will be the financial impact of this. And we've been speaking with senior staff all week or last week about this. And we've talked about recommending to hire facility attendants. In the past, I think we've just had arena attendants, but to hire facility attendants so they could work at both the arena and community centers to be able to staff these unstaffed facilities when there is private rentals. There would be a cost for this, and my understanding is that there is money in the COVID relief fund that could cover these costs. October 22nd is when the government is supposed to be announcing the app, verification app, and when Ontarians will have a QR code that they will be able to scan. There will be a financial impact there, as well as we're going to have to purchase some technology. My recommendation would be that the facility attendants have technology on them. I would recommend smartphones probably, so they could have, not all of our facilities have phones at them. So if there was ever an emergency or they needed to call somebody, they could, as well as they could download the app and be able to scan the QR codes before entry. I have kind of created a template for an attendance sheet that they could use in the meantime that would collect their name, contact information, and you would sign off that they've passed their screening and that they have proof of vaccination before entry. We would only keep that documentation as needed for the public health. I have created an online screening form to make it easier for people to fill out their COVID screening form online, and that is with the QR code too. If you pass it, it'll come up with a green check mark on your screen. If you do not pass it, based on how you've answered the questions, it will come up with a red X. So they will just have to show that to the staff at the point of entry. I think I've covered what I wanted to cover. in my report. I'm not sure if there's questions.
Thanks, Jennifer. I have to get used to not talking quickly into the mic. Councillor Booth has a question.
Yes, through you, your worship, to Jennifer. So Jennifer, how is this going to affect the hockey then? Because in previous last year, hockey was responsible for taking all the information down and that. So is this now going to be the town responsibility that we have to have a staff obviously at the door, point of entry, before they come in to show that they have proof for that? Is that
Yes.
what we're, okay. So obviously you're going to need a facility attendant or somebody that's strictly their job to make sure that they, in the future, they'll scan their passport or whatever it is then, right?
Yeah, the regulations are very clear on that the onus is on the business or organization to collect this data and be the ones at the point of entry. So the onus is not on the user group or the person who's rented the facility. It is on the organization or the business that owns the facility.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Gibson?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Latchford, to Jen. Jen, can you hear me fine?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that your screening form that you're using is going to be a living document that you can update as things change. You know, there's been recently some change in symptoms that we have to be wary of for people entering our facilities. The other thing I wondered is this been in consultation with the other lower tiers so that, you know, as people are moving throughout the county and they're entering either arenas or community centers, that it's a consistent questions and form that people are using?
Yes, to answer your questions, the first one, the form is on our website. So it's an eSolutions form that can easily be updated at any time from anywhere. For the second one, I have been in consultation. I just had a meeting with the colleagues from around Northumberland County, different municipalities, and everyone's kind of in the same boat as far as scrambling to get it together for September 22nd. I would say a lot are choosing to hire security guards or security firm to come in and handle the screenings and proof of vaccination at the door. They have other issues that we don't have, or other challenges such as multiple entries for facilities and facilities, multi-use facilities. So people coming in for various reasons. We're lucky in the sense that we have one usually entry point at all of our facilities and not as many multi-use facilities. We do have 2 community centers that have libraries in them and one that also has a post office. So people will be able to come in to use those aspects of the facility without requiring proof of vaccination. But we have talked with the other municipalities and townships within Northumberland County on how this rollout is going to look. There was discussion at one point about, you know, creating some sort of card or something that could be used across Northumberland County. So whether you were going into a community center in Cobourg, Port Hope, or our township, it would look the same. But we're kind of all in consensus that we're waiting for this vaccination verification app to come from the Ontario government on October 22nd.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Seeing nothing. My question was going to be, Jennifer, are you recommending hiring security? Or do you think that's the route we should go as opposed to depending on part-time hires?
I think it's a discussion worth having. I know there's concern as far as how this will be met, right? So if there's confrontation at the door and having staff having to be the front line of that, right? And what that will look like, nobody knows right now. I mean, it's been out there. People know about it. People are expecting it. But how they will react when they come to the door, and if they are turned away for whatever reason it may be, remains to be seen. So I know that Troy and I talked about having 2 facility attendants there at all times, so nobody would ever be alone. But we can certainly have the discussion of what security would look like. It'll be easier to manage with programs that are registered and will have a class list, so to speak, right? It becomes more difficult to manage for private rentals, such as weddings or celebrations of life, which are larger events, or craft shows, those types of things. As well as there's just a lot of exemptions that are included with sports. So that will become difficult too. For instance, coaches and trainers are exempt. People are also allowed to come in to use the washroom. Those are as an exemption. So it'll become difficult for staff to, determine, or for instance, youth 18 and under who are participating in sport are allowed to be exempt from the rules. So it'll become difficult for staff at that point to determine who's 17, who's 18, if there's confrontation there. So those things all remain to be seen and are questions that everybody's asking across Northumberland.
I'll jump in. If council agrees that the staffing, I do highly recommend that we go with 2 staff for some of the reasons that Jennifer just stated. And also, if we have facility attendants there, they can clean right after. Whereas if it's a security company, I definitely see the positive points of that as well. But then we'll still have to get cleaners to clean those facilities. So if we do go with our own facility attendants as hopefully, we'll make sure it's as safe as possible for them, and maybe even have some full-time staff for the first couple events if need be. But then those facility attendants are there and they clean the facility when they're done. So that's always an option as well.
And just to point out too, that our meeting yesterday with across Northumberland County was, some people felt that security guards at each entry might be intimidating as well. So that's another thing to consider, as well as people coming into these community centers in their own communities and, at the arena, it could be seen as intimidating as well.
I know at county, we've talked about as much as possible, all the municipalities operating as closely as the next one, so that we're all basically doing the same thing in Northumberland. I think people are used to seeing security. They're sitting in front of banks. They're sitting in front of everywhere. And, today it's almost a safety feature for those using the facilities. And I'm just wondering about the costs as well. And I think it's quite a burden to put on our staff who've worked all day, and that they have to, go to a facility and work an evening and then stay late and clean it. It might end up being a little too much for staff to start it out and to, kick it off. Maybe that's all right. But if it goes on for any length of time, it could be quite a lot of work and overtime. And I don't know how you're going to work that. So I'm not against security. Then they have a company that's to provide their staff. And if we hire, we wouldn't have to worry about people showing up, whatnot. The security company would have people there. That's just a thought. It's not, it's just what I've been hearing as well.
If we did go with facility attendants, more would need to be hired for sure. And then they would be like an evening shift or morning shift or whatever, just so you know. Like I wouldn't expect anyone to work here all day and then go and do an evening shift as an attendant. So more staff would need to be hired, and then they would just be in a shift rotation as per rental facilities bookings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Gibson had her hand up first. Councillor
I
Booth.
thought Councillor Booth was
No,
first, but
that's
I
okay.
Well, I don't
will.
know. It depends on which way my neck's going.
So thank you. And I would tend to say that my preference, and I think, you know, I would leave it more as an operational issue, but my preference would be for staff to be at the facility. I think it takes a couple of things away, like our CAO said about cleaning. But I think we really have to look at it not through the lens of us as adults, but we've got a lot of kids coming into those facilities who, you know, they're already fatigued about what's happening with COVID, and we're seeing mental health issues. And I think we want to provide the security that we can, that we're obligated and required to, but in the softest way, the nicest way possible. And I think by doing that with staff, we can accomplish it for a variety of users. Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Councillor Booth.
I agree with points from both of you. I think I would look more towards a hybrid, which you use both. I wouldn't want students to be hired as arena attendants or whatever at the front door screening adults, which becomes very intimidating for a 16-year-old when you've got adults arguing with them in the front. And I think in the arena setting, it's probably better, because you're usually open from 4 until 10 or 11, to have a security guard there. Even if it's only for the first month or so, until the hockey goers are going there to understand that they have to have these passports and everything like that, because the kids, the arena attendants will just be, they're going to be abused. I can see it right now. I like your point about the cleaning, Troy, but you're probably going to need another attendant anyway with the operator to do the cleaning, right? So, and maybe when it comes to the off rentals, maybe we could hire a staff that can obviously go around to the community centers in the evening. So it wouldn't be Tim if it's another staff, that if they knew that there was a celebration at Life at Centerton at 7 o'clock, that they could be there in advance, and the staff could be there for those ones instead of having a security guard, because I believe you probably have to rent a security guard for at least 3 hours. So for them to be there for 1 hour or a half an hour when people are all admitted, then they're just going to basically be standing around. And that's just my point. I believe it's an operational issue, and maybe we do a hybrid of sort of both, right? It's probably just as cheap doing the security guard as it is hiring 2 staff. Because if you're going to have 2 staff there because, like you said, Troy, that you want them to be there to support each other, I'd rather in those high, I don't know what the word I want to use, but in an arena where you've got 30, 40 people coming in all the time and the rules are different, it's probably better to have a security guard there.
Thank you. Any further comments? Anything you wish to add to the motion, other than we've just had the discussion and we receive and file it? And
or give us get it back to operations and let us make a decision based on some of Jennifer Steen's meetings with her colleagues and stuff. So we are consistent in the township with our neighbors and stuff. And you know what, we'll take in everyone's consideration and points and just leave it with staff to make that decision of which avenue we'll go then. And we'll just keep council up to speed. So because it's going to be tough to leave, and then if Jen has a meeting, tomorrow afternoon, we got to come back to council. You know what, if we just leave it at operations, trust staff, let us make the best decision for the township and the safety of whomever, whether it's security or facility attendants, just yeah, we'll make that decision and we'll keep council up to speed.
That's fine. And probably rules and regulations are going to constantly
Yeah,
keep
they
changing
will.
and you're going to have to keep up to it anyways. Councillor Booth?
Yeah, I was just going to say to that point too, this is going to go into effect next week, right?
Yeah.
I can't see that we can post a job and
No.
have people interviewed and on site already and trained, and that you're probably best in the interim to at least look at a security company, and then, like you said, let staff decide where maybe that's appropriate and where we can get away with just having attendance.
And it's good we have the COVID funding available as well. So I'll just call for the vote on this now, and the motions to receive and file. All in favor? Carried. Item 9, Treasury Department, report from Carol James on the appointment of auditors. Be it resolved that report number F 2021-08 from Carol James, Deputy CAO, Manager of Finance, HR, dated September 16th, 2021. Reappointment of auditors be received and filed, and further it needs council direction. And Carol's request is to reappoint Baker Tilly for an additional 2 years. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Phillips, second.
I'll second that.
Councillor Hogg? Any questions or comments for Carol? Councillor Booth?
Yeah, I can understand this report that we want the continuity. It makes sense that this is our last year for council, so they would be doing this year's and next year's. The only concern I have, and maybe you can answer this, Carol, is from Baker Tilly, we haven't even received the report for last year. And we're in September.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, Crammy and Brighton and everybody else have all presented it, and we haven't received any final report from them yet for 2020.
All of those other municipalities also had their audits started way earlier than ours. Ours wasn't started until May. So they are virtually done. They are trying to, we're just checking with Richard if he is available to present on October 21st meeting. So I'm just waiting for word from him when he's going to be doing that. The other part of that is that this was the first year auditing with the new computer system. We had to redo the whole GL. So we had to combine old GL and new GL. So it was a little bit more difficult to get it done for the first time. So there's many municipalities still that have not been completely audited yet, because it's a lot more difficult doing it through COVID, having to send all the documents. It's not like them coming in for a week and getting everything they need and leaving.
So I guess just a question to that then is, why did they start in May?
Because
was it because of us, or was it because of them?
That's when we're scheduled for.
Wow.
That's we all have schedules. Like they don't just do one municipality, they do millions of municipalities. So our schedule was starting in May.
Okay, well, I would say I'm not too pleased with them then. If we're in almost October and I don't even know what our audited report was for last year. So we're coming up to budget time and we don't even know what we spent or what we put in reserves for last year. Kind of ridiculous to me, but well, I would say that we put it out to tender and see. That's just my opinion.
We usually tender every 5 years, don't we?
Yes, and they were appointed for 3 years the last time.
So it ends when?
So it ends 23.
2020 will be the last audit they do.
So it's expired then, you're saying?
It will expire once the audit is completed for 2020. That will be the last audit they can do unless we renew them, or else we go to an RFP and have somebody else come in, and it will be the same thing next year because they'll have to get our new system. They'll have to get all our new stuff, but it's either way, we can work with it.
Deputy Mayor Gibson?
Yeah, through you, your worship, Carol, has Baker Tilly given you a fee for the next 2 years? Like,
It would stand the same as the first 2 year or the first 3 years that we have.
So it's just a continuation
It's
of the
just
agreement
yes,
with the same audit fee?
exactly.
Okay. And one other question, and how many accounting firms in our area actually do municipal audits?
There is probably, I'm going to say about 4 or 5 that actually RFPs usually go to is the municipal accounting firms. So there's probably 4 or 5 that we could pull from.
Okay. And I don't remember when the last RFP went out, if all of them actually sent in a quote.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago that the RFP went out. I was just looking at it the other day. I believe there was 3 people that sent in.
3 firms.
3
that sent
firms. Yeah.
a quote.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess I see your point that it is certainly much easier to have that same firm come in, but I just wonder, you know, in terms of our transparency and to be, you know, fiscally responsible, you know, if we went out for a 3-year contract, should we be doing it again? Not to say that Baker Tilly, you know, wouldn't be successful, but you know, I'm to be quite honest, I'm kind of sitting on the fence on it, Carol, because you know, there's merit to both. I'm going to wait and see what everybody else has to say.
If I may, I think Baker Tilly has been the auditors here since I started, so that was 2012. If you think it's time to put an RFP out and perhaps change or stay with them, it's up to council. Councillor Phillip?
Well, I'm awfully glad that Councillor Booth reminded me that, you know, things aren't exactly great in terms of the timing of the audit, but I have to balance that against Carol's report that, you know, it really isn't apples and apples when we talk about other local municipalities. Carol, have you got any sense that this would happen again, or do you feel that Baker Tilly would be on time the next time through?
Well, I'm hoping the next audit can be in person, and then we won't have these time lags. Part of the problem is they have all these people working on the audit. They send us information, people are away on holidays or people are off sick, and then they don't get the information back to them. Like this year has been extremely tough on all of that. But I mean, I can't guarantee that nobody will ever be like this. I can't guarantee that if you hire somebody else that they won't be like this. There's no guarantees in that. We give them what we can give them, and we work with them, and they ask questions, and we're back and forth. Like I talk to them daily.
Mm-hmm. Have you impressed upon them, you know, the importance of getting it here earlier so that we're not jammed up against our next budget process?
They understand that, and like I said, we're later in the schedule. I could see if we could be moved up in the schedule, but the other thing is they've got other municipalities also. So like everybody's sort of been scheduled in a spot for years now.
Mm-hmm. I just wouldn't want the township to be compromised in any way because of the audit not being available in a timely manner. I guess that's my point. And, you know, if we stay with Baker Tilly, I would certainly want you to impress upon them the importance of, you know, getting it to us quicker.
If there was any kind of financial issues that I could see, because I do have an idea of where we're at, I would be reporting that to council. That would be something that I would report to council if we were in trouble with anything. So, I mean, they're looking at last year's books
Yeah,
after the fact.
Yeah.
It's not,
not something that's right in front of us. It's already gone past. Yeah, I hear you.
So
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to make a comment. Last year, I went through a virtual audit with a Baker Tilly firm, and I'm telling you, it went from an easy on location 2-week process to do an audit to back and forth and carting bankers boxes and scanning and sending files to about, I don't know, was at least a 2-month process or more. So, you know, I understand what the virtual audit offsite has, you know, has done probably in a way to the timeline. And then I don't think Baker Tilly, probably any accounting firm, is in any different situation than the rest of us. They have people working offsite. They, you know, they have people that aren't working, and they are probably, as much as anybody, having a difficult time keeping and attracting staff. And that is no indication of any shortfalling on that particular accounting firm. I just think it's the way the you know, the whole employment industry has been in the past year. So if, you know, if anything, I would ask that we just extend it for 1 more year and allow, you know, we've got a new council coming in, maybe with a new idea about how things should be done. So, you know, maybe there's a middle ground here we can meet.
Just one question. And so we've been, how many years have we been with Baker Tilly now? You
Long
said,
before
Gail.
my time and Troy's.
So disregarding that we haven't even got last year's yet, if we want to be open and transparent, especially when it comes to financial stuff and that, I think we should be putting out an RFP and we put it out there. If they come back with the best price and we decide to go with them, then fine, we can't be accused of anything. But it seems to me that it gives the impression that we just keep renewing with them and everything. And before you know it, we're with these guys for 15, 20 years. It might be good sometimes to let another company put in for it and they have different look at it, right?
Yeah, but we didn't just renew. We did have the RFPs in 2018 because I
There
think
was
we
an
have to do it
RFP.
every 5 years.
yes.
So it's like dealing with any company, right? I mean, just because you've dealt with them, and obviously, I mean, you made the comment, Carol, that, you know, we're in the schedule where we're in the schedule. I could argue almost that we've been with them so long that they seem to have shuffled us back to May when everybody else is getting done. But I mean, here or there, you know, I just think it's fair that we put it out there, and if they're competitive, they'll bid on it, and they're competitive and they'll win it. But for us to just renew contracts over and over, because it just seems to me it's not right. We say that, you know, the contract was for this long, let's post it, do it. It's everyday business.
Well, I need council's direction on which way you want to go. So Mike made the motion and Jim seconded the motion. So it's up to, do you wish to change your motion, Mike, or leave it? And then we'll have to get confirmation from Jim if he wants to, if you're ready to do that, unless you want more discussion.
I if I may, through the mayor, doesn't happen very often, but I think the argument's been made. I think we can go back through the process again. I'll withdraw my motion.
Are you prepared to withdraw that?
Yes.
Okay. Now I just asked for a new motion. So now I need a new motion. Be it resolved that report number F-2021-08 from Carol James, Deputy CAO, Manager of Finance, HR, dated September 16th, 2021, reappointment of auditors, be received and filed, and further that,
Is
who
that,
wants to make the motion?
That we, yeah, Greg, I guess you should, since you've been.
Well, since the contract is expiring further, that we proceed with an RFP for putting it out before the end of the year and having it, out there for companies to bid on. Pat can write it.
RFP for the next 5 years.
Yes.
One RFP for the next.
And it
5.
could be very well be them again, which is great, but that'll lock it up for the next council too then.
Yeah. Can I have a seconder to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Moved by Councillor Booth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Gibson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Item 9.2, report from Carol James, re-budget timelines. Be it resolved that report number F-2021-09 from Carol James, Deputy CAO, Manager of Finance, HR, dated September 16th, 2021, re-2022 budget timelines be received and filed, and further that council direction is required. Can I have a mover, please?
I'll move that.
Councillor Phillip, second. Get my head up to see. I need a seconder. Councillor Booth? Okay, any questions for Carol on this? I have Carol, October 27th. Are you planning all day or the morning?
I'm not sure. I may have to relook at this because if I'm going to have to throw an RFP in there, I'm going to have to change things a bit. I'm thinking we might not get this budget done for this year. Because if he's not coming until the 21st of October, you won't want to do budget meetings on the 26th and 27th either.
So
So
it could be into November.
so perhaps
or
we
later.
should withdraw this completely and we'll change it.
Okay, because I have a meeting on October 27th at 1:30. So if we were going to have that date, I'd either
think
have to cancel my other one or.
I think we
whatever.
were close to the full days the last time, so
Okay.
I
that's
would
okay.
imagine it would be, but like I said, I think we're gonna have to change these dates anyway.
Okay, that's fine with me. I would have just stayed here. So
Okay.
the motion then now will be received, the motion received, and we wait further dates from the treasurer. Yeah. Because we probably won't be able to hit October for budget. Is that good? Sherry and Mike? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Committee reports. Item 10.1, Recreation and Cultural Advisory Committee. These are the minutes of July 13th and the Grafton Communal Water Committee minutes of June 21st, 2021. Be it resolved that the Recreation and Cultural Committee meeting minutes of July 13th, 2021 and the Grafton Communal Water Committee meeting minutes of June 21, 2021 be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hogg, second. Councillor Phillip. Any questions or concerns on any of them? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Communications, this is item 11. I'd like to pull forward the one from South Bruce. Lottery licensing to assist small organizations, and the Attorney General's response to that one as well, assisting small organizations. So the first one, correspondence from Lady Romana Didulo, dated May 28th, 2021, cease and desist order. Be it resolved from the correspondence from Lady Ramona. Nope, that's not it either. Romana Didulo, dated May 28th, 2021, to cease and desist order be received and filed. Do I have a mover, please? Or denied? Would you rather deny it? Moved by Councillor Booth, second by,
I don't even want it a second.
I'm not doing it.
Oh, that's, I think,
Denied is if that's
yeah, I
something
think,
that's available, or
yes,
Can we
Yeah.
deny it?
denied.
Oh, great. I didn't know you do that.
Moved by you.
it's fine, yeah. I thought
Second.
receive and file was basically the same thing, just
I'll
in,
second
but
that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Gibson. Doesn't look like we need too much conversation or questions. Do we call for the vote? All in favor? Carried. Correspondence from Sarah Tanner, Community Service Manager, County of Northumberland. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Sarah Tanner, Community Service Manager, County of Northumberland, re Northumberland Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, be received and shared on the Township of Alnwick's social media outlets. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Deputy Mayor Gibson, second.
I'll second that.
Councillor Hogg. Sarah put a lot of work into that. She's presented it. It's quite a project, so she'll be pleased. All in favor? Carried. Item 13.3. This is correspondence from Greater Napanee, dated August 25th. Resolution of support the City of St. Catharines resolution regarding Lyme Disease Awareness Month. The Town of Greater Napanee, dated August 25th, support for the 9883 3-digit suicide and crisis prevention hotline. Be it resolved that the following correspondence be received and filed. The Town of Greater Napanee, dated August 25th, 2021, resolution to support the City of St. Catharines resolution regarding Lyme Disease Awareness Month. And the Town of Greater Napanee, dated August 25th, 2021, support for the 988 a 3-digit suicide and crisis prevention hotline. Could I have a mover for those two, please?
Councilor Phillip?
Moved by Councillor Phillip to receive and file. Second? I think we've supported both of those as well.
Yeah.
that's good. Councillor Booth, a second. All in favor? Carried. I think it's important, the opportunity for municipalities and groups to be able to fundraise through what we used to be able to do. And looks like others have asked for that as well. So the next motion is, be it resolved that the following correspondence, I'm going to say, be supported from the Town of South Bruce, Peninsula, how do you pronounce that? Peninsula. Oh, I was looking for it down. To the Attorney General, dated April 23rd, 2021. And correspondence from the Attorney General to the Town of South Bruce Peninsula, dated August 26, 2021. Read the lottery licensing to assist small organizations. Hopefully we could send that on to the Attorney General, that we support it, especially to him. and other municipalities. Can I make that motion? Yeah. Oh, we automatically do? Okay, well, that's fine. And to let. Okay, I would want it to go to the other municipalities.
Mayor Latchford, is there any benefit in sending it on to the AGCO? I mean,
Well,
I
it's
don't think
automatic, right?
they're not in, probably not in decision-making mode, but it
It keeps them aware.
keeps them aware.
It sometimes helps if the member municipalities put forward ideas to the Attorney General, then they will look at it, where they sound and they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pat, when you speak, can you have the microphone?
I'll make the motion. Usually I don't do that, but I'll make this one. Can I have a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson. All in favor? Carried. Okay, item 11.4, correspondence from the Grafton Green Thumbs. Be it resolved that the correspondence from the Grafton Green Thumbs dated August 26, 2021, replanting a tree in the Stonafton Park be received and further council direction is needed. Have a mover, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gibson, second by Councillor Philip. Okay, what's your decision? Are we purchasing that tree?
Well, the Green Thumbs are asking for permission to plant a tree in Stonafton Park. Are they asking us to purchase it?
That was, yeah.
I didn't see it.
But just, they're asking for permission to plant, and I think it's part of a beautification of our township, and
I do
I
too.
think it's, okay. Troy may have more information on it.
Okay,
I just think maybe it should be approved also by Brian, just for location,
Yeah.
just for whatever reason, he knows what's under the ground, and you
Absolutely.
know what, if we have to maintain it for years on end, I want to make sure it's in the right spot. So I would say work with Brian and for the location.
Could we send, could we make the motion that we send a recommendation to Public Works that council supports the planting based upon approval of an appropriate location in Stonafton? With,
yes, that can
the
be the
manager?
motion.
And species, because it asks for our input, so he might be able to pick the right tree to make sure that it's
Yeah.
going in the right location.
Okay.
Okay.
Got all that. Okay, call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Item 11.6, correspondence from Nancy McDonald, Manager Legislative Services, Clerk, County of Northumberland, September
You
2nd.
missed, sorry,
Pardon?
you missed 11.5.
Oh, because I wrote on it. 11.5. Correspondence from the Roseneath Agricultural Society dated August 31st. Notice of the special occasion permit for a beer garden at the horse pull event. Be it resolved that the correspondence from the Roseneath Agricultural Society dated August 31st, 2021, re-notice of special occasion permit for beer garden at the horse pull event be received and filed. Or permission given, or whatever what we have to do. I guess they're just giving us notice. Have a mover, please. Sherry, seconded by Jim. Any questions or comments? Councillor Booth?
Just a quick question. Have they touched base with you, Jen? I guess it does say that they're going to follow the health unit regulations, and we were just talking about this new passport and everything like that. So I guess they understand they're going to have to do that also, right? That's not us. We're not responsible for that for them, right?
No.
their own.
Yeah, not our property.
And it's an outside event.
Yeah.
Too, so.
I guess it was answered, Jen, don't worry. I'm sure Barb knows,
got-
that she's mentioned it in there, so I'm sure she knows that she'll have an issue too to collect all that information and that.
You got lots of help here, Jen.
Yeah.
Did they request that it go on our website? And signs? I'm wondering if we can do that. The electronic signs, the one that at Grafton, it's October 22nd, if it doesn't interfere with hockey, but you know, it's a good thing to promote. They haven't been able to have the fairs, so at least they can have an event where people are separate. And it should go on the website. Can we add that? You okay with adding that it be on our signs and
Sure.
in the website on that motion? Promotes tourism. And the other thing is to make sure there's no charge to get in if you want to make a donation, because that could bring some people out as well. There's some pretty good music there. So I'll call for the vote if there isn't any other comments or questions. All in favor? Carried. Now we'll get to Nancy McDonald. This is just a notice that the passing of the countywide development charges bylaw. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Nancy McDonald, Manager, Legislative Services, Clerk, County of Northumberland, dated September 2nd, 2021, re-notice of passing of countywide development charges be received and filed. And those charges were increased slightly. Just so you're aware. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Gibson, second.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? Calling for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Item 12, bylaws. So this first bylaw is the one for the fire communications. Be it resolved that bylaw number 100-2021, being a bylaw to authorize the signing and execution of an agreement between the City of Peterborough, County of Northumberland, and the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman for the provisions of fire communications services, better known as fire dispatch, for the corporation of the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman, be read and deemed to be passed the 16th day of September 2021. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Booth, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson, questions or comments? All yes?
So I guess that'll be forwarded, then Carol will have that for the budget, right?
Yes, correct.
So she'll show us already that we've approved it, so it has to, okay, just want to make sure.
Yep. All in favor? Carried. Announcements and notice of motions. Councillor Hogg, you're first on the list today.
Okay, I received some phone calls from a few of the people in the north end about the Merrill Cemetery Church. And a couple of times this year, the siding has blown off it. And I went back and I tried to pick some of it up, and quite a bit of it's gone. So I wondered if I don't know, does this come under the heritage, or, because I'd like to see it get fixed up before winter, if I could.
I'll pass that on to Daryl, and Daryl will take a look at it, and
Okay.
we'll let you know. So
Okay.
is there quite a bit of it off, or just a few pieces?
Just some off the south side and some off the north side, not a lot.
Okay. I'll have Daryl go back and take a look.
All right.
Yep.
That's everything I have.
Thank you. I have a proclamation for Orange Shirt Day. Somewhere. Here it is. So this is a proclamation. The event is the Truth and Reconciliation Day or National Orange Shirt Day, and it's September 30th, 2021. It's a Friday. Whereas the Truth and Reconciliation Commission released its final report on June 2nd, 2015, which included 94 calls to action to redress the legacy of residential schools and advance the process of Canadian reconciliation. And whereas the recent discoveries of remains in unmarked graves across Canada have led to increased calls for all levels of government to address the recommendations in the TRC's calls to action. And whereas all Canadians and all orders of government have a role to play in reconciliation. And whereas recommendation number 80 of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission called upon the federal government in collaboration with Aboriginal peoples to establish as a statutory holiday a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation to ensure that public commemoration of the history and legacy of residential schools remains a vital component of the reconciliation process. And whereas the federal government has announced September 30th, 2021 as the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, National Orange Shirt Day, and a statutory holiday. And now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman does hereby commit to recognizing September 30th, 2021 as the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, Orange Shirt Day, dated the 16th day of September, 2021. So that's proclamation. We'll also be receiving orange shirts. So we'll have them probably for our next meeting. We'll wear them at our next meeting.
Yes, I have shirts ordered and they'll be here this weekend. So first next week, we'll all have our shirts.
That'll be good. And I also think for that day, did you get any progress on Aldervale First Nation flags?
Yes, we purchased, everything we purchased through was Aldervale First Nation. So they were great to deal with as far as the t-shirts and flags. So we will be flying flags on that day as well.
So when are they going up?
Probably the day before.
The day before?
Yep, unless you request otherwise. We have them, so.
I'm wondering if they should go up the first of that week or the week before. What's council think? There's more people that would see them in the longer length of time. It's up to you though. Go ahead.
I guess we go back to why are we flying the flag?
Yes.
In recognition of Truth and Reconciliation Day on September 30th. So I think for me to make a bigger statement about Truth and Reconciliation Day, it should be the day of, on September 30th, those flags get flown so that it doesn't dilute the importance of that one day.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Is everybody?
I
great?
agree with that. That makes
Okay.
sense. I'm not sure if Tim so that will be at like all the community centers and town
Yes.
hall and that. So
Well, definitely in the Roseneath area and then town hall. So I think there's 3 or 4 flags that have been purchased. So we'll pick our locations, but first location obviously is in Roseneath and town hall. So
Centerton?
in Centerton, yes.
So yeah.
We'll hit all parts of the township. And Jennifer Steen, I don't know if she knows it yet, but she's going to be on huge social media that day. So it'll be well known and publicized how much we're showing the respect.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that's all I had for today. Deputy Mayor Gibson?
I don't have anything to bring forward.
Okay. Councillor Phillip?
Well, actually, I have one thing to add. I have one thing to add, and that is that the Lakeshore community that And then it followed with a number of phone calls about whether or not the trench could accept a the optic fiber cable. And I've already talked to CAO about that, and he's looking into that. So it's created quite a stir down there. We all like, high speed if we can get it. And we all know our township is in desperate need of better communication opportunities. So this is just another step forward for Aldervale Alderman. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councillor Booth?
Yeah, just a couple of things through you, your worship, to the CAO Troy. I'm just wondering, Troy, I think I've mentioned this to you before, and maybe you've talked to staff. Is it possible we can get an update at the next council meeting about budget items for 2020 last year, or no, this year, 2021, I'm sorry, that are still outstanding, that still have to be completed? I know there was one which was the repair of the fencing for the cemetery. I think there was stuff for Fenella. There was stuff for ACC in that. If we could get a report from you, from the managers, of what's still to be completed so that we can make sure that gets done this year.
The fencing at,
Was it Bowmanton?
no,
What cemetery?
Macklin is in process right now. I just went past it the other day.
Yeah, we talked about it at our staff meeting. So all department heads are going to provide myself with the outstanding capital items yet for 2021. So yes, a report can be brought forward. Regarding Macklin, yes, they are working on the fencing. There was a bit of an issue there on the weekend where there was an accident again. So that's Brian is working with insurance and going through all that. So that's probably what you've seen today, but
Good that we didn't fix it until now then.
Oh, so it was another accident?
another one.
Oh,
yeah,
I thought they were
Saturday
just
night.
fixing it because it was
No.
starting to come down.
Saturday night. So, so Brian's on top of the Macklin one, and all department heads are on top of their outstanding capital.
Okay, thank you. And then the next one is, I know we discussed this sometime in the spring or the fall. Is it possible that you can have staff look into, we were going to talk about the pros and cons of cutting the grass, whether or not next year we should be looking at our staff doing it, or would it be more feasible to us to look at having it contracted out? And I know we were waiting until all the bills were in and everything, and maybe it's possible Carol or somebody can put those numbers together to actually see, are we saving money or?
Yeah, I've had a meeting with Jen and Brian, and that was discussed. So I would imagine, like you said, at the end of the year, when all the invoices are in, that's something that should and will be looked at over the winter. So I'd say we have till February, March before tenders really go out, February anyways, for grass. So we have that amount of time, but hopefully we'll be able to make a decision during budget time this fall. So.
Yeah, because that's what I'm concerned
Yeah.
about is budget time, because I know last year there was a request for a truck and things like that, and whether we have to go through that again, or hopefully we can get that stuff before budget. And one other question, and this is more, I guess, for the mayor or councilor, that is, now that Carol's looking at budget and the timeline and things like that, has council going to take some time or something that we can come up with what we think is going to be a satisfactory number for an increase, so that staff can work with that? In past employment, as a manager, council would always come back to us and say, listen, we're looking at a 2 or 3% increase or whatever it is. Please, when you present your budgets, be in line with that, unless there's something extraordinary that you want to. Do we do something like that as something that we consider to at least give them a guideline, or is it just open season? I just wouldn't want somebody coming in here with 10 or 12% when other people are thinking of something different. So I don't know whether that gets discussed at council or.
Well, we can do something like that, but when does our next quarter, the 3-quarter printouts come out, Carol? September? Oh, she's not online. Can I just ask her that?
Would be at the end of this month, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. in
Should
end
be
of this
based on
month?
the quarter, yeah.
I think we should look at those first. Are you in agreement with that? That if we look and see
As
what,
long as it's in time for the managers, if they're working on their budgets right now. I know I sat down with Dave yesterday in the fire just to go look at preliminary numbers for him, and it was a good idea to say, you know, this is what we're thinking is reasonable. And I don't think 0 is reasonable this year because we had that last year, but let's give them some kind of guideline that they can go by. And of course, like I said, anything's possible. Maybe there's extraordinary circumstances that they have to ask for more, but
and sometimes it's good that they put in their budgets what they need. And because when it's there, even if it doesn't get passed or that percentage number, we would set a lower percentage number, at least it's recorded and council gets to see that because we know that's going to come back in future years. So my preference would be to wait until the third quarter is in and we have a good look at it because most monies should be spent by then. And that way you can be more accurate in what a possible figure could be. But then again, we never know. So,
well, as long
It's,
as it's valuable to the staff, right? There's no use
yes.
in waiting too long and then their budget presentation is already done. And then we tell them we want 3% and they're coming in here with 8 or 9.
yeah, but
I'll
then
leave it with
they
you,
gotta
Troy,
put,
Yeah, so
well, you gotta leave us some work too, Greg, to cut out. so.
department heads will bring it to Carol and I, and so we'll sit down and if it's within reason, we'll.
And it's going to be delayed this year too. Now, it's probably not
It's
going to
gonna
be
be 8 or 9.
October. So to hear that 3/4 budget to actuals might be helpful.
and I guess this is just off the top of my head. I'm guessing this will be our last budget for this council because next year's budget will be late, right? Because of possibility of the council changing, we won't be having early budget meetings next year, like in October, November. Is that
We
correct?
don't
or-
know that yet.
Well, what's usually been done in the past?
Well, I've been on councils where budgets were set and I've been on councils where budgets weren't set.
Okay.
So it depends on where you are in that year and what you want to do as a council when that time comes. Because you can get a lot of the preliminary stuff done without even making the final decision if you choose to do it that way as well.
Okay. Just that last year we had a quick year, like we were done before the end of the year and we were voting on the budget. Okay. That's just a question for information for next year. Thank you.
We were a little envious of some of the municipalities. Okay.
Thank you. That's
All
it.
right. So item 14 is we're going into closed session following the adjournment of the regular council session of Thursday, September 16th, 2021. The Council of the Township of Alnwick Haldeman will be holding a closed session in accordance with section 239, 2B, E, and K of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss personnel matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, to discuss litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality of local boards, and to discuss a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board with the CAO, Deputy CAO, Manager of Finance, HR, Acting Clerk, and Deputy Clerk remaining in attendance. So I'll do the confirming bylaw.
And also the fire chief will be in attendance.
And Fire Chief Dave Dawson will be in attendance. Be it resolved that the bylaw number 101-2021 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council session held on Thursday, September 16th, 2021 be read and deemed passed the 16th day of September, 2021. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hogg and Deputy Mayor Gibson. All in favor? Carried. Adjournment. 150. Be it resolved that the regular council session Thursday, September 16th be adjourned at 1:50 PM. All in favor? Oh, I need a mover. Moved by Councillor Hogg, second, Councillor Phil. All in favor? Carried. I got to get used.